everybody. I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. This is Plant-Based with Nicole podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Richey. Something's going on with IG today, everybody. It took me like 30 minutes to finally get on the live. I see there's 2 people, but I can't see who you are. So something is still going on with IG because normally I can see your names and who you are. Let's see if I can see in the box. Okay. So I see my guest is on here and Shug Collins. Hey, let's see. I'm going to request you. Oh, actually, let me read your bio first. So I am interviewing Mazeratie, aka Viva Vegana, and I'm going to read her bio. My name is Mazeratie. I became vegan 6 years ago while attending a destination wedding in Mexico after years as a low-carb devotee. Since then, veganism has led me to interests in sustainability and herbalism. 2 things I learn more about every day on the latest project: sustainable vegan urban food forest in the Phoenix desert. So let's see if we can bring her on. Please say a prayer that this works. Today, I don't know what's going on. This has never happened. I can't even see who's on here. Let's see. Is it working?
Yeah, hold on just a second.
Let me pull up my camera a little bit. Ugh. Wow, what a weird day.
Hold on, it's not wanting to flip. There it is. Nope.
Nope, not yet. Did you click? Okay. Oh, look at you. Oh, look at you.
This is Lola, one of my dogs. She didn't take kindly to the door being closed, so she's in here with me.
Oh, she's so cute. I love those kind of dogs. What are those dogs called again?
Pugs. She's a pug. I have 2 pugs.
Yes.
And then
Hi, pug. Hi. It's so nice to meet you. Your hair is beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
You're really making me miss my afro because, I've sported the loose natural hair for a total of 18 years. I think you might have saw I commented.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you're making me miss it.
I've been considering locks for a while now. I always thought maybe for my 40th I would lock. But the more I think about it, the more I'm worried that I would miss my loose hair and kind of the flexibility. So I don't know. I love both styles, but I feel like this would be a little more flexibility than the other option. But I still like to explore.
You can't do it until you have absolutely no doubt. Just like I will not cut my locks off to go back natural until I am just over it. Like I was done with my natural hair. I was like, I'm over it. I'm done after, 18 years. And I had no doubts. So you'll know when you're ready. Then you won't have any like regrets. You know what I mean? Like me, I was over it. So the first, I just started missing my loose natural hair maybe like the last 6 months or so. And I've been locked for 4.5. So I'm still kind of like, I don't want to cut them off yet because I might regret it. And that's how I know I'm not ready. Yeah. You know what? Something's going on with IG still because normally there would be people on here. And there's hey, Shug Collins. There's one person, but it would just be more people by now. So I wonder if there's still certain people's IG has not fixed itself yet. But that's all right.
I think it's coming on like bit by bit because parts of it were still not loading for me. Like I was just getting the little circle thing on some of the features and then others were working. So it's probably kind of like filtering out. It'll be, maybe another, it's out for down for maybe 30 minutes. It'll probably be 30 minutes before everyone's back up again. Yeah.
So it's okay. We don't really have a lot of people watching, but that's all right. They'll watch later because it will be posted. Well, thank you so much for being willing to come on even after all this craziness because I was freaking out over here. I don't know what you was doing, but I was freaking out because I couldn't even... I was like, I can't even send her a message to tell her what's going on, but it was happening with you too, so you understand.
Yeah, I thought it was just Wi-Fi. I was like, again, the Wi-Fi, because I've had issues in this house with Wi-Fi before, but
yeah, I thought it was my Wi-Fi too until I was able to look at YouTube. I was able to look at Facebook. Everything else was working. So then my husband said it's the IG because he tried to send me a message. He couldn't send me a message, and I was like I was telling him to send you a message on my behalf, but he couldn't even. It was a mess.
Yeah.
But anyway, good to have you. Thank you so much for joining. I love your page. It's just like I feel like I'm at a resort. When I'm watching your page, I'm just like, your house, first of all, it's so like, I don't know, it's so different and like resort, like just like heaven. Like, where do you live?
I live in Mazeratie, which is a suburb of Phoenix, Arizona. I've lived all around kind of the Phoenix area in the last 20 years, which is when I came out here originally to go to school. But Mazeratie is one part of the valley where I've noticed there's a lot of greenery. We have there's a mountain preserve down here, so you get more wildlife. There's also bigger lots in general with the houses and subdivisions, so you have more space for things like gardening that is difficult, in other areas of Phoenix. So
yeah, you guys, y'all not just gardeners. Y'all have a garden. Like that's like it's like I don't know. It's huge.
It's the whole parcel's a little under an acre. I think my husband was saying the total garden's like 10,000 square feet. The area we're using for gardening. But for me, the whole idea really came from watching a lot of videos about gardening and then permaculture and sustainable gardening. And Phoenix, as I'm sure most people are aware, the climate is not what you would think of as being great for a garden. It's the desert, so it's very, very hot. It's very, very dry. You do have to take certain precautions you don't have to take in other places to get things to grow. But one of the benefits is our climate allows us to grow a lot of tropicals. So things that most parts of the U.S. wouldn't be able to support, we can support here, provided we can create a microclimate. So that's where the food forest idea came from.
That's wonderful. I'm going to come back to the gardening. I'm going to jump backwards and go to your vegan diet. Then I want to come back to your gardening again. So how long have you been eating vegan diet, and what made you want to transition over from a standard American diet?
So I've been vegan for a little over 6 years. And it was not a conscious decision. Like I didn't ever like sit down and go, okay, I want to become vegan. Let me take the steps to do that. It was really a spur of the moment situation. Like I said in my bio, I was at a friend's wedding actually in Mexico. And leading up to her wedding, I had been very hardcore low carb. Like I've done low carb before, but this time I went like no salt, no sugar on top of the low carb because it was a destination wedding and I was all like, so I got there and I was like miserable. Like, I mean, I looked cute, but I was miserable. And we were surrounded by plants and like fruit, and I was just like, it doesn't make sense for me to be following a diet that says I can eat as much bacon as I want, but I can't have an apple. Like, how does that jive? So
right.
I mean, while I'm here, I'm just gonna eat stuff that I feel I know is healthy and that looks good to me. And that was immediately like fruits and veg. And I was already very light on dairy because I've always been sensitive to dairy. So that was a huge hurdle for me. I was still eating cheese at the time, but like I wasn't a big milk person. I was a big yogurt person. So I just spent that weekend basically eating mostly vegan, not really knowing what the term for it was. Like I'd heard the term before, but I wasn't applying it to what I was doing. And we got back home after the wedding in about 3 days. And I told my husband, I was like, listen, I'm gonna give away anything that we haven't opened. You can finish up anything that we started. But after that, I'm not gonna cook any meat. I'm not gonna buy any meat. If you want to eat it outside the house, then that's fine. But like for me, I'm gonna try this and just see, how far I can go with it. And that was basically it. I just kind of kept going from there. And then a year after that, my husband ended up going full-time vegan as well. So he's been vegan for 5 years.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
That's so good. I wish my husband, well, he does eat like a high vegan diet, but he's definitely not.
It's tough.
it's
Well, I think
yeah.
for men especially, there's sometimes more social pressure to eat meat, or to eat
Mhm.
certain things that, I know I didn't encounter as much when I decided to go vegan. So I know that can be hard for them sometimes if like every time
Yeah.
they're in the house they're faced with everyone else eating everything else. It can be tough.
But yeah, I am glad that he is eats a high vegan diet though, and I am glad that he is okay cooking me vegan meals and he's okay eating vegan meals that I cook. So it does make a difference because I could end up being with someone who's like, I need meat.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, well, then you don't need me.
Yeah.
Bye. You don't need me. This will never work. Nah. But oh cool. That's so cool. So you was that low carb stuff, chicken and greens and fish and greens,
So
turkey
much
necks.
chicken. And at this time, like, I think something came out about this afterwards about what they were pumping into chicken breast. But I remember the chicken breasts were so huge, and they were selling those like buy two get one free. And I was like, where are they making a profit margin on the chicken if it's this big and they're giving some of it away for free? Like, what is going on? So I just started to feel kind of generally grossed out by the amount of meat that I was eating and preparing every
Yeah,
week.
that's too
And
much.
it kind of pushed me over the edge. So,
You was probably looking snatched.
yeah,
She was like,
I
she
was
was
mean. I
like
was so mean. Not
over.
even carbs makes you angry.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. I couldn't even imagine. I don't know what that means. um, this is so interesting though, like this whole live thing. Like I'm just so not used to this. Like, it's kind of weirding me out. Like, where is everybody at? And then, when that person, I think did you leave? We can't even see, it usually says such and such joined. Like it's not even saying that. It's weird. This
Yeah.
is weird. That's all right. All right. The show must go on. So like, what does your typical day look like? Are you, I think you answered this question I asked you in the inbox. You just eat a vegan diet. You're not like raw or high raw. You eat a vegan diet. So that means whatever you eat is what you eat.
Yes,
Oh,
and I'm
showing.
obviously 100% vegan. I do try to eat mostly whole foods. Like, I know a lot of people follow kind of the 80-20 rule, and I'd say I'm probably pretty close to that. Especially with gardening, I'm growing a lot of produce, so that makes me eat a lot of fresh produce as well.
You're so lucky you have your own. Never mind. We'll talk about that in a minute, but go ahead. What's a typical day look like?
As far as like my schedule,
No. Your food, like what's it? Everybody's gonna eat something different every day, but what would a typical day example look like for you? Like for breakfast, lunch, snacks, dinner. Like, give me a full day, a sample of a day. It doesn't have. I know you probably eat different every day, but what is it? What does that look like?
honestly, I've never been a huge breakfast person. I've gone through different eating experience in my life. Like I've done the 6 small meals, I've done intermittent fasting, but whenever I was eating breakfast, I was always kind of forcing it a little bit. I don't typically find myself to be super hungry around breakfast time. So nowadays it's usually something light, like I'll have some smoothie, I'll have a little fruit. In the winter months, I'm more likely to have a little like oatmeal or something like that. It's a little bit harder. But here where it's warm most of the time, I tend to like cold, quick breakfast just to keep myself cool. And in the morning, I'm coming in typically from gardening, so something that'll refresh me as well is nice. And then lunchtime is usually around maybe 1:32 in the afternoon. I tend to eat a bit late. And it varies, but being in Phoenix, there's a lot of really good Mexican food available. So if I'm gonna order something, I might have Mexican food. I also like to do like a burrito bowl or like a cold noodle salad. Those are really popular with me. Anything I can add lots of veg to. I try to eat seasonally as well, so that really drives whatever I'm gonna make. And then dinner time. Dinner is usually my biggest meal, frankly. I know a lot of people don't eat that way, but it works for me. So typically I'll come home and around dinner I'll have like a little snack, maybe pull something out of the fridge, some cashews or pistachios, something like that, while I'm cooking dinner. And then dinner can vary. I like to do a lot of, I guess, international flavors. So
Yeah.
sometimes I'll be in the mood for something that tastes kind of Italian, or sometimes something that tastes a little Korean, or something that's a little more Indian or Mediterranean. So I'll borrow flavors from those cuisines to put something together. I really like a cold pasta salad. I like any type of tofu at this point. I've gotten pretty good at cooking tofu. So tofu with the marinade is always a great base to add anything to. Like I have a really good peanut sauce that I love
Mm.
making. And then I really like soup, even when it's hot. I'm kind of weird that way.
Even when it's hot?
You know, when it's hot, I feel like when it's hot and you eat something spicy or something hot, there's like the immediate burn, but then like when you cool off, it's almost more refreshing. I don't know.
Interesting. Interesting. I'll have to try that. No.
Yeah, so it just it varies. I mean, I think what did I have last night? Last night, I think we did pizza. Actually, we have a pizza oven that we don't use nearly as much as I think we thought we were going to. But every once in a while, we'll get pizza crust and then make our own vegan pizzas and have a pizza night. So
Yummy. That's nice. Well, thank you for sharing that. You said you're so slim and you have like you keep your body pretty in check. Do you work out as well?
Yes, you know, I used to be much more into more traditional workouts. Like I went to the gym, I like lifting and everything like that. But after everything with the pandemic, and then we had moved into this house, I got really into gardening, and having such a large garden, you know, like there's just physical work that you have to put into it on a regular basis to maintain it. So that's become my main workout. And then I will add a little bit of strength training here and there, or some treadmill work if I want to get my cardio up. I'm actually going to be doing a yoga retreat shortly. I really enjoy yoga. I think it's good for just long-term stability and health, and functional fitness. So that's something that I want to incorporate more into my regular routine.
Are you putting the retreat on yourself?
No, I'm going to be attending someone else's retreat.
You're attending.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds really, I've always wanted to do you said it's what type of retreat?
It's a yoga retreat. I've never done one before, but this will be my first time with Sisters of Yoga. So
that sounds refreshing.
Yeah.
It sounds very like just peaceful, therapeutic, and just lovely.
Yeah. That's what I'm hoping for.
You're going to come out a new person. You're going to come out a brand new person.
Yes, centered and stress-free. I hope.
Yes, amen to that. Hallelujah.
It's hard. It's hard to stay ahead of stress these days. So if I can get a little extra help, I will take it.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just really admiring your hair. I know I said that, but it's so beautiful. I just always admire, you know, like because I used to rock my hair natural and the afros and all that. And you don't meet a lot of people that do, or at least the people I met, you know, they're wearing a lot of weaves and all that kind of stuff. And it's just like always nice to see people wearing their hair. But anyway, another note. So when you went vegan, and did you like have any things that happened, some changes that took place in your body or in your life? Like, did you have any healing? Did you lose weight? You were already slim, so you probably, but did you have any like benefits or healing or anything that took place, you know, once you went vegan and changed your diet?
Yeah, for sure. Weight-wise, I've fluctuated. Like, I've been very, very thin, and I've been close to like 190 pounds. I'm 5'8", so that obviously can look very different depending on your height. I've never really considered veganism as like a weight loss first situation, but I've definitely found that my weight is much easier to maintain being vegan. I felt before I was always kind of on a tightrope, like, oh, if I had a bad weekend, then I need to be extra good for, you know, the next week or two to make up for it. Whereas now it's just more of like like if I'm a couple pounds heavier one day, then it'll come down, over the next couple days without me doing anything in
Yeah.
particular, just
Right.
because of, the way that I'm eating. I used to have a lot of inflammation with like my stomach because I was sensitive to dairy. I found later that I was also sensitive to almonds. But dairy was like my main culprit, and I didn't realize it. And I was constantly getting health advice where like I was trying to build muscle, and they're saying you need dairy for recovery, and like eat yogurt for lean muscle and cottage cheese and all these things. And it was just giving me this little like this little like belly that I couldn't get rid of. And once I went vegan, that kind of fell away. I was really surprised by that because I wasn't expecting it.
That's
I
amazing.
noticed changes with my cycle, not to get TMI, but
Oh no, honey, we're open on this podcast. We can talk about anything, bowel movements, menstrual cycles, whatever you want.
bowel movements as well. But I think pretty much everyone who's gone vegan will report that their bowel movements have improved immensely. Like it's very weird to me now to consider that so many people think it's normal to be irregular. It's not.
Right.
And once you've been regular for a while, you're just like, I don't know how you function if you're not going.
Yeah, some people go. Some people only go once a day. Some people don't even go every single day, and that's
Crazy to me
not
now.
normal. Not normal at all.
Yeah, but cycle wise, I definitely noticed a difference. Less painful, shorter, more regular. So I'm no longer on hormonal birth control. I went off it a
Oh,
couple years
good.
ago. And it's been kind of a thing, like, I think sometimes people look at someone who's been vegan for a while and they've made all these changes in their lifestyle and it looks really unattainable. But the reality is most of those people made those changes a bit at a time. I started out in a very different place than where I am now. And if you come to me 6 years ago, I've been like, hey, less than half a decade from now, you're going to be outside for 3 hours a day digging in the dirt. Like, I would not have really thought that was where I was headed, but now it seems really normal to me to have a
Yeah.
garden and a rain catchment system and all these things.
Yeah.
My husband, when he went vegan, he actually goes to a naturopath and he gets his blood work done every year. And after his first couple of months, it was time for his yearly appointment. He went and they noticed that he had huge improvements in his cholesterol, his LDL levels, his HDL levels. So for me, seeing that in his results, like a scientific result, just further proved that, we were headed in the right direction and we were doing what was best for our long-term health.
Yes. Amen. So true. That's amazing. It's amazing when, you change your ways of eating and it can just make such a difference in your body. That was why I went plant-based 12 and a half years ago for some chronic pain from an injury that I had. And I was desperate. So I went overnight. I didn't transition. I just went overnight. And then after, I don't know, 3-4 weeks or so, the pain went away. And it's just amazing. Now my body's used to eating vegan. So if there's anything that happens in my body, I have to take it up a notch and go raw.
Yeah.
But, but if somebody's coming from like a regular meat eating diet to vegan and they have some issues, 9 times out of 10, the issues, problems will resolve itself just by getting rid of the animal products,
That's true. So I'm 38, and so I had a lower
Man, you're making me feel old.
I had a lower back injury that I got when I was like 17, 18 years old. And it bothered me on and off throughout my 20s. I would throw my back out. I'd actually sometimes get stuck like at a 45-degree angle, and it'd take a couple days for me to be able to like work it out so I could stand normally again. And over time, I learned ways to deal with it and kind of work around it. I learned that I need to, strengthen my core and work on my hamstrings and things like that. But once I went vegan, the kind of constant soreness that I had in my lower back, where I was always kind of testy about how I moved and what I did, went away. Like I'm no longer like, oh, I'm worried to put on roller skates because that's something that hurts my back, or I don't want to wear heels because it makes my back hurt. I don't have that type of kind of chronic pain anymore. And I think a lot of that just comes from inflammation And when you're constantly putting the inflaming things in your body, it never goes away. So you never know what your body feels like without it. I think that's one of the most remarkable things is, when you have been vegan for a while and then you really like stop and look back, you start to remember all these little things that used to bother you or problems that you used to have that just don't anymore. It's not like it's one big miracle, that goes off like an obvious big thing in your face for most people. Some people will have something like that, like diabetes, that they're able to reverse, or a major health concern. But for most people, it's going to be a lot of little cumulative changes that add up to you overall just being healthier and happier and in better condition.
Right. I will say that eating this way, even though like if I get certain things and I need to heal myself, I have to go raw, but there's certain things that this lifestyle, like, getting colds and stuff. I'm not saying I never get colds, but it's like big gaps in between. Yeah. Like I had a cold in 2019, right? I had a bad cold, and then 2019, and then I got COVID, and 3 years later, so 2022, the beginning of 2022, I had COVID, but it was like I didn't have COVID. It was like just I had some sniffles, but I was still making my silly, because I have a regular lifestyle page too. Okay. That's my first one. I was still making my dancing videos. I was still, I could have took 10 days off of work. We had COVID pay, and I was like, no, I feel fine. I'll still work. I had to work from home, obviously, but I still worked during the whole time. I was still it was normal. I was like, it was like nothing. So I what's the word I'm trying to say? I'll say it has to do with my diet. You know what I'm saying? I've known people, and I'm not going to say the word because I don't want IG, but you know what I'm talking about? I'm not this. The thing they do for the COVID, I'm not that. But there's people who are that, and were way sicker than me, and I'm not. So you know what I'm saying? Like I owe it all to my diet, and I think that just, especially not only do I eat a vegan diet, because vegan does not mean clean, because you could eat French fries and Oreo cookies all day, and that's vegan. But I eat a primarily whole foods, plant-based diet, and the clean and try to eat a lot of alkaline foods, and that all helps, because there's a lot of acidic foods that we can eat, and acidity contributes to inflammation, right? So the idea is we want to get rid of those acidic foods as much as we can. Not completely. You should still have some acidity, about a good balance, like 80% alkaline, 20% acidity. But yeah, the point is, I'm just going off on a tangent, is the diet, it helps us, you know what I'm saying? It helps us stay clean. It helps us stay healthy, as much as we can. I'm not saying I never get sick or anything like that, or I don't ever have issues, but it's definitely better than if I was eating meat. Do you ever eat junk food? I always like to know that.
I do occasionally. Like, I'm a very moderation type of person, but I've noticed that my definition of junk food has changed a bit over time. Like the things that I used to eat, I'm just like, oh, like I can't. Even vegan, like there's a lot of vegan restaurants that specialize in like big burgers and fries and like, things like that. And I get the appeal. I totally, like, if that's what you want, like, please go enjoy it. I'm happy that it exists. But for me personally, the longer I am vegan, the fewer and far between cravings for stuff like that are for me personally. So like at night I'll have some dark chocolate. Like that's my indulgence.
That's your junk food.
Yeah, that's my junk food. I like popcorn. I like crackers. My biggest weakness is probably kettle chips because they're so like thin and crunchy and salty. Like I love the texture. Like, I like kale chips sometimes. But it's really just like the combination of like texture and salty that gets me every time.
And that crunch every time you take a bite.
Yeah, like I need the crunch factor. It's very important.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. So so you do a lot of gardening. Do you have a regular full-time job too?
Yes. Uh-huh.
What do you do? What do you and your husband do? Cause y'all balling. I seen your place and your yard. Like what do y'all do for a living?
We've been very, I guess, blessed and lucky, honestly, with everything that's happened, especially over the last couple of years. My husband started this business a long time before I met him. He's in flooring, multifamily flooring, primarily is what we focus on now. So basically, we replace the flooring in apartments. So as people move out of apartments, the apartment complex and the property management company would be our client. They'll call
Oh,
us and schedule with us to come in and redo and replace the flooring in, whatever unit they have available so they can turn around and rent it out to the next tenant. And it doesn't sound like it would be a very lucrative business, but when you stop to think about it, most people live in apartments.
yeah.
There's thousands and thousands and thousands more apartments coming online every year. And Phoenix, Metro Phoenix in particular, has been the benefactor in some ways of a huge influx of new people over the last 2, 3 years. So the number of apartments they're building aren't even enough to keep up with the current demand. So we see a long runway ahead for us as a business. I joined him in it about 3 years ago. And
Hmm.
originally I was coming on just to consult and to help them with some operation stuff, get more organized, implement new software. And as we started working together, we just found it was a good natural fit for both of us, which is kind of surprising for both of us separately. Like people that know us separately would not have predicted this happening. But working together has become a strong part of our relationship as well because, we have to collaborate a lot. We have to communicate a lot. We have to learn where and how to draw boundaries because we don't want to be taking work fights home and vice versa, especially, when you have employees. You can't be mad at your husband in front of your employees. So it's been an adventure for sure, but we're both really, really excited about where things are headed and about continuing to work together.
Sorry, I put it on mute for a minute because I had to turn on my fan. That's amazing. So you do that full time?
Yes, so that's my full-time job. The benefit, of course, is, we own the business, so we can be a bit more flexible with the scheduling, so that allows me to garden a little bit later in the mornings, and then I can still get into the office by, 10:30. And then I'm at the office until usually about 5:30, sometimes 6, and then we come home, deal with the dogs, and then usually back out to the garden again before it gets dark.
I love that. That's amazing. I love that. And I love your page with all the gardening. So how long have you been gardening and what do you like about gardening?
I've been gardening for probably about 3 years now, maybe 4. Initially, I started out with houseplants, and I just got really into houseplants one year, and it was pre-pandemic, so I was maybe predicting the future a little bit. And once I felt pretty good with houseplants, I was like, if I'm gonna put all this time and energy into a plant, I want something that will feed me or that's medicinal or has some other use, like it needs to be purposeful. So I started out container gardening. We were living in like a condo at the time and we had this like roof deck and I just put grow pots all over the roof deck and I was planting things in there, just experimenting. And I had 2 tower gardens, which are little like kind of hydroponic towers. And each of them had like 28 plants. I think I have pictures on my profile. But I was growing like chard and lettuce and tomatoes. And when I was a little kid, I think around maybe 10 years old, my dad had started a garden with us. And so I was really just trying to remember everything we did when I was 10 and implement that. And so I started learning there. When we bought this house, I really was looking at houses with the mindset of, I want a place to grow food. I want to grow a lot of food in as little space as possible, and I want it to be as sustainable as possible. And I want to be secure in the event that something happens. And by this time, pandemic had started, And I think that definitely pushed my thinking a little bit. But I've always been kind of the mindset, like, if something happens, I want to be able to sustain myself, sustain my family, you know, sustain people around me. And knowing how to grow food is an incredible knowledge set to have. And then to build on that and know, you know, what herbs you can use for different illnesses or, you know, to heal different things. That's, to me, it's like basically as close as you can get to magic. I don't know why everyone doesn't want to know, but I'm kind of going to get it out.
And yeah, because I like that, you know, like if something happened, you know, the first thing we'll all do is go stash up on some canned foods, right? But you got the fresh stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, you know,
I want to go to Japan. Not there yet.
Yeah, that's amazing. Talk about like some of the things that you grow, or what kind of trees do you got going on in the back? Like what are some of the things that you grow on a regular basis?
Well, so I would say the major difference between like a food forest and a kitchen garden would be a food forest is typically going to take a little bit longer to mature and really start producing. You can always plant things you can harvest, you know, within that same season. But with a food forest, you're also establishing trees, like you had mentioned. So some of the trees that I planted is like I have 2 types of apple, I have 2 types of peach, I've got apricots, I have pomelo, I have a couple different types of citrus, I have a bunch of moringa. Moringa is a superfood that's incredibly beneficial, but it's also a really fast-growing tree. So it's great for shade and it's drought tolerant, so it's perfect in the desert.
Wow.
I've got some dwarf coconut palms in the hopes of growing coconuts. Star fruit, Barbados cherry, I have ackee, soursop, Atimoya, like bananas.
What?
So those are my tree layer. And then we have a kitchen garden, so like I have more normal things like I have strawberries, I have garlic, I have zucchini, corn again this year. I have a bunch of tomato varieties, different types of squash. I'm very open to experimenting when it comes to things to grow. Like, if I research it and it seems like I should be able to grow it here, like let's try it. Like there's no harm, no foul. Let's see what happens. And you know, whatever survives, I plant more of, and whatever doesn't, I try to figure out why it didn't, and either I don't bother planting more of it, or I find a variety that's going to work better here. So literally, I'd say 95% of what I've planted on the property is edible or medicinal. I have very little that would be just ornamental. And some of it is desert native, like I have saguaro cactus, I have prickly pear, I have elephant food, and desert goji, which is also a superfood. So I didn't just import a lot of things, a lot of exotics. I tried to do a mix of native things to help with pollination and, you know, keep the ecosystem happy. And then some of the more tropical exotic things, because they tend to be super expensive. So if I can grow it myself, then I'm saving money. Yeah. And that potentially is something I could sell, you know, if we ever decided to pivot into another business, then maybe it's exotic fruit.
That is beyond dope. Like your life makes me want to do backflips and moonwalk. It just sounds so like, I don't know. I wish you would have actually been outside during our live and like been in your garden. That would have been so nice to see all the.
I just worried because we have a neighbor that tends to blow out his backyard around this time. So like watch me be on the live and it's just like
yeah. And that would have happened too, just because you were out there on your live, right? That's amazing. That is so dope that you grow all these different foods in your own backyard. That's amazing. Next time we'll have to do, it won't be of the podcast, but we'll just go live and you just go out there. So if there's some noise, it's okay. Yeah, I wanted to acknowledge Happy Juicy Mama. She said this a while ago when we were talking about a plant-based diet and how it can help us and our bodies and stuff. And she was saying She said it keeps my pain away from fibromyalgia and lupus. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It definitely helps with a lot of things. This has been so interesting. Your life. I'm a little jealous. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, you got it going on. Nah. Yeah, you guys check out my guest, Mazeratie, aka Viva Vegana. Is that how you say vegana? Vegana?
Yes. And I was going through a period when I picked out the name. I was learning Spanish. I'm still learning Spanish. I'm a lot better at it now than I was when I picked out the name.
Oh, is that how you say vegan in Spanish, in Espanol? Yes. Vegana? Oh. Yes. Oh, that's so cute. Yeah. So you guys make sure you follow her. You guys check out her page because it'll make you just feel like you have no problems in life. Like when I was on her page, I was just like, dang, I forgot all about my problems and the troubles I'm going through. It was so peaceful. It was therapeutic. It was relaxing.
So check out when it comes to my page. Because, I mean, gardening is not always tranquil and relaxing, but the results are so nice. Like, I'm kind of addicted to the results portion of it, for sure. Right.
We only see the outcome. We don't know all the behind the scenes stuff that goes on.
Yeah.
But with the outcome we see is definitely uplifting and it's just amazing. So keep doing what you're doing and maybe you can FedEx me some of them fruits.
This next year we're gonna have some stuff coming in, so I'll definitely keep you on the list. People are taking me all the time.
Yeah, thank you. You guys should start another business, a fruit business, like where you sell it in packages and things like that. But that means you'll have to grow a lot of fruit. That'd be a lot.
The sharing part is the part that I worry about. Like I have enough to share with like a select group, but then when everyone wants some, you're like, I gotta go.
Exactly. TK Hardy, are you sending that message to I forgot her name already. The message to Happy Juicing Mama? Because you said send the information for your fibromyalgia too. So maybe she's talking to Happy Juicing Mama.
Yeah.
Yes. So this has been great, you guys. Follow my guest, Viva Vegana. Follow me at Plant-Based Nicole Richey. If some of you guys were expecting us to start at 4, we were expecting to start at 4 as well, but IG was acting up. It took a while to finally get on here, so I'm glad we were able to still go through it, with our interview. Thank you for being flexible.
No, thank you. I screwed it up, so I'm glad that IG was down and wasn't just on my head.
Yeah, I was like, I thought it was just me, and then I finally started figuring stuff out. But yeah, this has been great. Thank you so much for sharing your lifestyle with us. And anything you want to say to the viewers now and those who will watch later? Any encouraging words or anything you want to just say? Positive, upliftment, anything?
I would say, whatever it is that you're trying to do, whether it's going vegan or starting a garden, start small. Start in an area and get really good at that area, and then branch out from there. Don't try to tackle this whole ideal or this whole lifestyle from step 1 with no idea of how to start, because it's so discouraging, and it doesn't lend itself to an uplifting journey where you feel good about yourself. Leave yourself some room for error, have a little grace, and just build on it as you go. And every once in a while you'll look back and you won't believe how far you have come. But if you try to tackle that from the very first step, then a lot of what you're going to do is just discourage yourself. So take it one step at a time, one day at a time. Keep your head up and just keep working at it.
Perfect. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. So thank you, love. It was so nice meeting you. And I'll see you around. I'm just going to announce my next guest so you can go ahead and go spend time with your doggies. But I'll see you around. Thank you again. Bye-bye. Thank you. You guys, make sure you go follow Viva Vegana and make sure you follow me. Thank you guys for joining today. Up next week, On May 28th at 4 p.m. PST, 7 p.m. EST, I will be interviewing Anu Green. He is a fully raw healer and herbalist. So we will be getting in his, in his mind and asking questions and all that. So you guys make sure you come back next week. And thank you so much for joining me today. Share the live, and I will see you guys next week. God bless you.